everyone. Today we have our another new episode, and this episode is very important because we will discuss on futuristic leadership for developing nations. We have our world famous speakers and scholar, Mr. Raja. We have our speaker from Bangladesh, Mr. Saleh, as well as we have our another good friend from Nigeria, Mr. Ogba. I want to start from Mr. Raja, how you want to analyze this futuristic leadership, and especially all of we from developing nations, how we can create more futuristic leader from developing nations. Mr. Raja.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. It's a very interesting subject, which is a futuristic leadership for developing nation. We are in a very the cusp of the fourth revolution, industrial revolution. That's what Klaus Schwab says. And the first industrial revolution, the second, third. Now we are looking for the fourth industrial revolution. It is mainly on the advanced digital technology. The first revolution started with steam engine, but ended up with World War I. The greed on occupying the other spaces was very important for them, for the nations. The second started with mass production, and it ended up with creating a atomic bomb, bombing Nagasaki and other places. It was a very bad mass production. The second revolution had ended up very badly. The third one is the digital technology. The digital technology that we have gone through was excellent. I did my autocoder language study with IBM in 1969, when we had a IBM 1401 machine, hardly about 8K machine, 8K of 8K in the sense, what do we have now in the mobile is about 125 GB. You can imagine it being to that sort of thing. And the World Economic Forum is looking for a fourth industrial revolution, the industrial growth, and as well as the many of the advanced digital technology. They are going for AI and other things. When we look at the scenario as on today, we are not in a happy position because the third revolution ended up with COVID-19, Afghanistan, and these are the things that gave a lot of problem areas on today. And we are jumping towards fourth revolution. But when AI is supposed to change the whole scenario of marketing in other places, one of the things which came out is the probability of people losing the job. And the first one was telemarketers, and the second one, because of AI, are the accountants. If the accounting functions are being taken over by AI, then accountants are going to lose the job. So we are looking at the leadership in terms of mainly in here, say in a developing nation, how it is going to function. What are the things that we are giving to the Gen X, and what are the things that they can look at, because we are looking at the futuristic product. And what is important in the fourth revolution, one of the things which WTEF had come out with is the societal changes. One is the advanced technology, the other one the societal changes. The societal changes had been ignored. First, second, third, and even the fourth one is now we emphasize on the AI, the societal changes, how the society is going to move. Yesterday, when we were looking at the CO2 emission and all that, there are about 200 million people who would be migrants in about 7 years' time because of the carbon emission problem area. If that be the case, the societal changes have to be taken care of. And this is where The futuristic leadership is needed. Instead of going for AI, when the computer came, like a very big company like LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India, they refused to accept the computer. Now it is absolutely essential. The same case with the banking sector in India. They refused the computers. So when we look at the AI, I can tell you that do not think in terms of losing the job. I would like to tell the future generation, you have to look at the opportunity that it is going to create. The things that we look at is what the individuals has to take care of themselves, of the capability. I'll just tell you what exactly I wrote a book on. It's called Corporate Citizenship and Sustainability, measuring intangible, fiscal, and ethical assets. This is a book which I wrote last year, published from BEP of United States. I'll just give you the back page. This it says the progress of corporate history since the industrial revolution has been enormous growth in freedom of enterprise, economic prosperity, innovation, technical and intellectual advancement. But it has also been stuck in the passions of greed, the slow and sure decay of morality and social order, culminating in high unemployment, Occupy Wall Street, and BLM movements. Is a very important aspect for the future to correct it. We cannot have to continue to have this unemployment rates or demonstration in front of Wall Streets and other things. The business enterprise is often thought of good intentions toward the society, which sets apart corporate culture or individual choice. Corporate culture is the one that we are looking at. If you look at the developing nation, if you look at the Mr. Ogba is there, I think, and I was in Nigeria for nearly 10 years. I was the Welcome Foundation, Welcome Nigeria. When you look at the culture, I liked the Nigerian culture very much. It's an amazing collection of people. I've gone through the whole of Nigeria during 78 to 88. The culture of an organization is very important. And the corporate culture is a long-standing one. A company like Tata Group has got the corporate culture from nearly 150, 160 years. So when we look at the future generation, we got to develop a culture which, in my opinion, there are several, like Anand Mahindra, Ratan Tata, Bajaj, very many Indian entrepreneurs. So one of the finest collection people. They go, and I am very confident, these are the companies which are going to grow in a manner that particularly we have seen COVID-19 that Tata Group had come out with amazing support for the employees. The employment is assured, and continuity of the, TCS has got about more than 500,000 people working for that. It's an amazing big company. When we have the culture being imbibed, and the future generation doesn't have to worry about it. A culture is a function of true knowledge of awareness. We've got to be aware, an identity with the ethical responsibility. If an individual is going to identify with ethical responsibility, we are in a position to complete that process of understanding and be with the growing economy. It is going to grow in a phenomenal manner. And this is where I would like to tell the future generation, leadership, I would like to tell them, one, I'll stop with that. I won't take much of a time on that.
Thank you.
What Carl Sagan, just a few seconds. I won't take too much of time on that. Carl Sagan said, you take a fistful of sand grain, and can you count it? It is innumerable. And count the number of sand grains in each and every beach of planet Earth. Can you do that? Impossible. Even impossible to count the number of grains in your hand. And that totals is more than that is the stars and the galaxies that we come across. Universe in terms of numbers is too great. Okay, now we are absolutely astonished and absolutely enthralled of the number game of the universe. What we go and look at the sky, it's impossible. Now, I will also give you what David Eagleton is one of the neuroscience guy. He's an amazing guy. He's a very good talk. It says he
Mhm.
says 1 cubic centimeter of tissues from your vortex, from your brain, is if you synapses, the neurons that it can arrive at in terms of numbers. That number you don't have a mathematics available to know because it's more than that of the stars and the universe that we come across. It's an amazing. This is an individual capability. That is what Carl Sagan said is about the physical substance. What David Eagleson says is also a physical substance within you. That physical substance is a single brain, a
Mhm.
single cubic centimeter of your brain has
Mhm.
got the capability of the neurons and synapses, which
Mhm.
if activated, you can create, a single person can create another earth if it is possible. That is the
Mhm.
capability. The capability of the potter and the capability of nuclear scientists are equal. That is the energy factor which is being given to each individual. So if someone says, my future is that I am dejected about what going to happen in the future, you don't have to. We have a capability of meeting any crisis and overcome whatever the crisis that we come across and be
Mhm.
a winner. It is possible. So the
Mhm.
future is in good hands of each individual. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you for your excellent analysis. Now I want to give floor Madam Durga Das. She is an excellent leader from India, as well as she is contributing a lot for India and developing nations. So, Madam, how you want to define this futuristic leadership for developing nation?
So I think, thank you, first of all, Sharif, again to having me here this evening. Sorry I missed a couple of your sessions, but it's been a busy time. I apologize. Um, Futuristic leadership. I mean, what is really futuristic leadership? I think leadership is something that has always been prevalent from time immemorial, right? And there are probably qualities in leaders that we saw 1,000 years ago that are probably required in the future as well. So when you talk about leadership, it I don't think the essence of leadership ever really changes. It's always a certain kind of people who eventually become leaders, right? The platform on which leadership rests, that is forever changing, right? Today it is, you're on a ship. Tomorrow you're on a plane, in a plane. Day after you're driving a car. Next day you may have a cycle, and fifth day you may be walking. Doesn't change the fact that you're a leader. The mode of transport has changed, and a good leader is someone who adapts to that change, right? So there is, when you say futuristic leadership, it kind of um, makes me want to think, is that a different leader from the leader from 10 years ago, 100 years ago? Is that different from a leader of today, that suddenly some new kind of leadership will emerge in the future that doesn't existed in the past? For me, that seems unreal. There is nothing called a futuristic leadership.
Mhm.
Leaders are leaders, whether it was in the past, present, or in the future. The point of that leader is the one who has the adaptability, the agility to change with times. And that is what will make a good leader. To me, that is itself is the defining point of the topic itself. What is that good leader? Who is that good leader who adapts to change? Who is that good leader who has the ability to envision, how change might happen, and how to bring not just himself but the whole team, himself or herself, to bring that whole team together to understand that change is inevitable, change is constant. Interestingly, this is what we have to expect. And therefore, leadership has to encourage people to work with change, know that this is an inevitable situation in front of us, and to rise above it, to have the resiliency to deal with it, to not change our ethical and moral values just because some situation around us has changed. Right, this is a good time to make money, COVID happened, oh now I can make money. That doesn't make me a great leader because I made 100 crores during COVID. Or it doesn't make me a bad leader because I made no money during COVID. It just means that continue to stick to my moral and ethical values. I impart that to my team and my colleagues, my employees, my stakeholders, my partners, my vendors, my customers, my entire ecosystem. And we stay ingrained in doing the right thing at the right time always. For me, that is leadership. And that kind of leadership existed thousands of years ago, existed 100 years ago, exists today, and will exist tomorrow as well. Whether we are on Mars, in the moon, on Earth, underwater in new age homes that live under the sea, it doesn't matter. So I think that's the way I would approach this topic. I would try to analyze that who is that leader who is able to adapt and to be able to make an ecosystem around him also accept change and adapt.
Mhm.
So I would love to hear others' comments on from this perspective, because to me that's what matters in my own lifetime. Just as an example to everyone, and I'll only take another 30 seconds. When I started my business in 1984, I did not have a computer, I didn't have a telephone, I didn't have a vehicle, I went by cycle, I didn't have a typewriter. I still ran a business, and I still fed my family, and I still took care of people around me. 40 years later, I'm doing the same thing. Yes, now I have a vehicle, I have a computer, I have a telephone, but I'm doing the same thing I did 40 years ago. Nothing has changed in the responsibility, right? I have just learned to adapt with what is here today. 40 years ago, for me, communication was going to the post office and sending a letter by snail mail. Today, my mother demands instant gratification because she has a phone. I called it 20 times, but in 5 minutes. Now she wants to know now what is the answer. This is my mother who never had a phone or even snail mail before. Times have changed, but that doesn't change me as a leader. It hasn't changed my responsibilities, or it hasn't changed the way I need to adapt to work with the times. So that's where I come from. Thank you, Sharif.
Excellent, Madam Durgadash. I want to request right now Mr. Rakesh. He lives in New Zealand, but definitely he has different views and perspective about futuristic leadership. But definitely, I'm sure that many people around the world, they are observing our show and they will observe, and this kind of analysis will add values for academy as well as for industry. Mr. Rakesh.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing to listen to the various views expressed, and one cannot disagree. In terms of leadership, if you look at leadership, I think it is the influence that a person has over its, the milieu in which the person operates. And that milieu can be technology, and very rightly, as Madam Dasa said, as well as uh, Mr. Iyer before that. It is the vision that you have uh, to to do the maximum good to to the to your environment, your physical environment, your social environment, and your technological environment. Because we leaders also play a part in developing technology, and technology that will bring along the best benefit to society. Now, sometimes, it's hard to say that they will go only with the technology which is focused on society. Sometimes a leader has to drive something which will take the whole, the uh, whole, perhaps the whole world in a certain direction, which even which is not humanly possible to envision every every aspect of the impact of that technology. So sometimes we go ahead, and I know Stephen Hawking and other intellects have said that AI is in this category. It can be dangerous for human beings and things like that. But I think that I quite agree with Professor Jayaraman uh, and Madam Das, that we will eventually learn how to maximize the benefit from these technologies without harming ourselves. And that, I think, the essence of that is what futuristic leadership is. Now, I would say leadership. I agree with Madam Das that leadership is where that quality, that indefinable quality of leadership, is something which is persistent. It is the same quality which was there some millennia ago, and it's the same quality that will be some millennia in the future. That ability to draw the support of people and bring them around to optimize the effect of technology. And that's my piece that I have to say.
Thank you. Now I request Mr. Joy Tirmoy. We are actually World Talent Economy Forum. We're really interested to work with grassroots level people. He actually inspired me a lot with his book and other initiative. He's from India. So Mr. Joy Tirmoy, if you want to share your views about futuristic leadership, I know you have some historical knowledge which will be helpful for our audience.
Thank you for inviting me and being one galaxy. So I am enjoying your discussions and deliberations. We are in one view. I don't have any different view against anyone, but I would like to take it along with them, add something there, and it is we are talking about leadership, but sometimes or most of the time we are uh, thinking about leadership on the political level, political leadership. Uh, yes, business leadership and other leaderships are there, but we don't know. We are talking about this leadership was there some 10,000 years ago or hundreds of years ago, but we don't know well what kind of leadership we we was having throughout the years. Now it is a society, highly politicized society. There are other parts where modern politics does not be, but but uh, uh, something 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 some problems that the society itself has got seen. Society, the we broadly we can divide it into two. One society is one kind of society is uh, business society, and now the political society has got merged with it. It is running side by side, hand in hand. So it is a business society, and there was another kind of society, which was human society, which was Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore called it Atmiya Samaj. And the core of the business society is in the the center, I should say, the center of the business society is in the city, and the center of the human society, our perennial, our traditional society, is the family. It is the pole asunder that they are completely different. Tagore first recognized it. He thinking on it, started thinking on it, telling on it, but we didn't get him well. How there can be a two-leg walking between the two would be the future uh, responsibility of the humanity. We are talking about futuristic leadership, but without this combining these two, we cannot do that well. So I think there should be one kind of two-leg walking between the two, and without fighting against anyone, we can start doing something new. And there, there are huge crises in the field of environment, employment, and agriculture too. To some extent, we have got to know about the crisis in environment, but and employment also. But the crisis in agriculture makes these two happen. We we are I should say, still to understand it well, that there is a crisis in agriculture itself, and it has been going on for the last 200 years. Now it has become accentuated. I think there is a huge possibility in the time of huge crisis. We have got so much unutilized, underutilized resources, be it natural, be it social, be it individual, be it government. But within the frame of business society, we don't know how to make them utilize well. We are we have to put fight with anyone. We have to we have to we have to I should say one problem.
Mr. Jyotirmoy, I cannot
Sorry,
hear you clearly.
yes.
Can
Now, are you
you just
getting me?
Yes, you
Are you
just
getting me?
finish your speech. Yes, you finished your speech, and there is a noise from your side because we have audience. They have to listen you carefully.
Someone has yes, a little voice. Anyway, he has
There is
got
still
diabetes.
okay. Okay.
Julia? Sorry. So anyway, there is a huge possibility. I was talking about a huge possibility. We have to recognize it. We are all the time afraid of the crisis emerging, but there is huge possibility too if we can get to see it, and then we can garner the huge materials or utilize huge resources there. That I have written one open letter to the Prime Minister of India, and I am expecting his response now. And I have written there something how we can make huge unutilized land, and we can utilize huge unutilized land with those resources. We do have huge resources. They are misutilized sometimes, unutilized, left unutilized sometimes. So with the Manrega, with the Manrega, NGNREGS fund, with other uh, funds are there, most of them, 60 to 80% of them are misutilized. We can make utilize of them with vision, with prudence, with honesty, by applying that is the capital, but there is one capital we are lacking, that is capital value of goodness, honesty. And if we add there how to make each and every one involved with this grand mission, we can start from grassroots level by involving each and everyone from there. We can make involve 100 people out of 100 with a grand green mission, where each one will give something and get something. There would be a rhythm of giving and receiving. How to make it done is my mm, mission now. I have called it Global Green Mission. It should be started from locally. We are doing it here. Some response had been there from the uh, Higher Education Department of West Bengal and Rural Development Department of West Bengal. We are exploring every possibilities how to involve each and every one of the grassroots level and create one kind of social leadership where each and everyone can be a part of it. So it is a huge, I should say, initiative, but it must be a small one, and there also be some sort of truth which can cover the universe, or I should say the whole world, I should say, and I should say with the with due modification. If there is a truth, I have proposed one three-share economy, one kind of three-share distribution of the resources, where no one was getting anything, but everyone can get something. We can do it with a new social system where each one can give something and get something. This is our new three-share economy of, I should say, not not fighting with others. In our three-share economy of the of our leftist friends, there was some fight against the landlord. But here we are to accept their ownership, and we are to pay it to them. We are to uh, support them also by combining each and everyone, by involving each and everyone. We can start a new social order, being away from that feudal system, the orthodoxy of feudal system, orthodoxy of communist system, and orthodoxy of modern corporate system. We can generate one other system which is very much humanistic, which is very much futuristic, as well as just it can save us today also. It is not it does not lie in future, but just today we can start it. We have some plan, and whenever we will be getting more time to interact, we can explain on them. Before that, we can exchange our articles, and then we can discuss on it, and we can
Thank you,
correct.
Mr. Joytirmoy. Actually, we are getting many noise from your side. We need your help. I can understand you are analyzing in a different way. This is very very important for our audience. Mr. Arman, you are also academicians from Bangladesh. I'm very happy we have people from India, Bangladesh, Nigeria, even from New Zealand. So hopefully it will add some values for us. Mr. Arman,
Yes, yes. Oh, thank you so
yes.
much, Professor Sharif, for giving me the opportunity to something about discussing futuristic leadership. So actually, I've heard many things from the distinguished guests representing here. So I would like to express my opinion about futuristic leadership. Is that yes, leadership actually since the evolution of the mankind, when human arrived in the world, the leadership has the starting and still it is here, and maybe it will be until the extinction of mankind. But the fact is that the ideology and the practice of leadership is evolving. So change is a regular phenomena. So we can't deny that change that has been happening in the leadership practice all over the world. So in previous that time when we didn't have any computer, when we didn't have any smartphone, or we didn't have any um, social media profile. So that time the leadership ideology might be different, and from the present timeline, because at this moment we are engaging more in digital platforms. We are using emails, we are using social media platforms, we are using lots of video conferencing tools, like this one you have to stream that we are arranging this good program. So definitely the change is happening here. So the leadership model is changing. So we have to accept those change, and definitely we always expect that there are some positive change we always welcome, and also we have to take care about any sort of negative change that might occur in this process. Actually, if I would like to discuss about the developing the nations aspect, like in Bangladesh perspective, uh, so if I say the leadership framework in Bangladesh, if I consider the leadership practice uh, that was 50 years ago, and the leadership practice that is happening now, it should be, there are some changes, because that I observed from my parents, or from my grandparents, when they used to work in different organizations. They had some leadership practices, like they always said that they faced autocratic leadership system in their organization. So right now, our autocratic leadership is considered a bad practice, or it should be avoided in the organization. And we are preferring more democratic leadership approach, or more holistic approach, that uh, that should be considered more on employees, or on developing team members. So, from the uh, from the concept of autocratic leadership to the democratic leadership, or from too much coercive leadership nature to a more collaborative and teamwork leadership. So there are the changes that is observing in developing nations. So these changes are always welcome, and we, the developing nations, always strive for those changes as well. And these sort of changes are actually ensure a better and sustainable work environment in different organizational aspects of the work. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to something. Hopefully, I will discuss more in coming time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saleh. Professor Mamun, uh, thank you for joining today's session. We are discussing about futuristic leadership for developing nation. You are an excellent scholars from developing nation. You are contributing a lot for the human resource developments. And World Talent Economy Forum, we are advocate for modern science, engineering, and technology. My questions to you: how modern science, engineering, and technology can help modern leaders to develop their economy or develop their ecosystem? Professor Mamun.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharif. I'm so sorry that I joined a little bit late. In fact, I had
I know. Thank you.
delivered the lecture. So I'm so sorry that I could not hear the earlier speakers what they said. But as you understand, that our topics, futuristic leadership style for developing country. You know, I believe that I'll get the two times chance. So this is the introductions time, and then we come back again for the concluding remarks. If you ask me based on the like futurist leadership, then I would like to go back that concept. We have to think that technology driven something. Now come to the question: our leader, whether they're capable or not, this is another issue. So this is a very important thing: is the technology driven. Say, I'm. It's a one kind of dream. I was thinking. When we go to the like village, so can you think that the village will be the smart village, because we are that we are talking about the smart city. So let us think in this way: smart village. So what do we have to need for smart village? This is the most important for the economy. You know that particularly that if you think that rural area development is very important for the country development. So in order to the technology driven, we have to think about the like ICT facilities. Maybe we can provide some training program. We have to think. That say Bangladesh, we could not think that 20 years before that without the bank account, without the bank, there's a financial transaction. Now, even in the rural area, where is that you could not think the bank, but they have the like option for the Bikash, Nogo, Upai, and other option financial transaction. When I'm noticing this kind of trend, I was thinking the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin, maybe it's not the visible, but at least you see the scenario. This is the mobile transaction, right? Even you cannot see the money. And when you talk with the village people, they couldn't think this is the way that they're getting the money. They're sending the money as well within this kind of platform like the Bikash, Nogo, or something. And you know that like 20 years before, we couldn't think in the village area that will be there with the billing, right? Now it is happening. So now come to the question is that we have to think that one environment friendly development. We have to think of sustainable development, green development. Because you know that if you look at the climate change, our climate is going to be changed. So that is the reason is that we have to now think that how we can go back to the village rather than we have to return to the city. So this is the time that futuristic leadership they have to start to thinking in this way. I'm so happy to mention that our Prime Minister, our honorable Prime Minister, she was always thinking about this issue that how we have to think of the green, how we have to move to the like village. We should not go to the capital city. So, but what I mentioned that we have to think about the not only the Prime Minister, it will come up the every aspect of the leadership. Those who lead our society, our corporate, our ministry, they have to think that kind of mentality. What I notice, what is my observation is that sometimes due to the like leadership issues, we could not come up with the findings. We are thinking the technology driven, we are thinking about the green environment, sustainable environment, we are thinking the development. But when we have to come up with this kind of like, we need the visionary leadership. I'm not talking of the leadership at the top level. I'm not talking of the leadership at the middle level. I'm talking of the line level and just the bottom level leaders. They have to need that kind of technology driven thinking, IT thinking. So now this is the time we have to start to think that how we can create this kind of leaders, those who will work for the future. Means we have to think of what we have now after 20 years, after 30 years. We need that kind of futuristic leadership target and objectives and goals. I believe Dr. Sharif is a very proactive for this area, a smart village, how we can work on that. I think World Talent Economy Forum can work on that. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharif.
Thank you, Professor Mamun. Actually, yes, World Talent Economy Forum, we are very much action oriented. Even in Asia Pacific, in Malaysia, we are developing this startup village concept, and not only uh, this Malaysia. Beside that, in UK, Italy, Japan, uh, as well as some other countries, we are introducing this startup village concept. And yes, we need lot of solution. Uh, and definitely this kind of solution actually help us to grow our economy in an effective way. uh, Madam Durgadash, I know that you have a very good solution, especially for water purifications. If you share some views about water purification and how it helps this startup ecosystem, startup villages in Asia Pacific and Europe and this area, it will be helpful for our audience. Madam Durgadash.
Sure. Thank you, Sharif. So I just want to say one thing. I was thinking about the different topics that people brought up and the different thought processes. And, just want to talk one sentence about leadership, right? When I was young and I started my first business, like I said, when I was 14, I had people much older than me working for me. They were 50 years old and I was 14 years old, 15 years old. And at that time, I used to be young and, always I will lead from the front and I will, I'm sure people will follow. When I grew up and over time, I realized that great leaders do lead from the front, right? But the greater leader pushes from the back. It makes sure the entire group of people move forward, not just the leader and a few people who can catch up with that leader. Then the rest are left behind. And so that's an observation I made in my own life, where rather than just say, I am doing it, can you copy me and just follow me? A few of them will. How about I go and push the entire lot forward? Maybe the process is slower, but the entire community of stakeholders moves forward together. Having said that, as Sharif said, um, I have led different capacities. I'm a professional sportsman, so I've led in cricket and in golf. I've led teams in India and in America. It required a different kind of leadership. Then I have led, of course, in my home. I lost my father when I was, only 16, 17, and I've been the head of my house, taking care of my siblings, my mother, and the extended family. So I've been a leader there. I started my business when I was 14, and through that, as an entrepreneur, building different companies, I have been a leader, and each startup is different. Each environment was different in India and America was different, and so that required a different kind of thinking and leadership, right? In my own groups of social groups, whether it's biking or socializing, I am considered a leader. In each of these cases, I'm a leader of some kind of form of fashion. And there are many kinds of leaders. There is the autocratic leader, there is the paternal leader, there's a democratic leader, and there's the what we say is the laissez-faire kind of leader, which is the free rein leader, saying everyone do what you must do for the better good. Now, in each of these roles that I have played personally, I've had to be a different kind of leader. I could not be an autocratic leader, in the home, right? I have to say we're all a family, we have to move together. On the sports field, I had to be an autocratic leader. We cannot have 10 captains on this field. We can only have one. So in each case, in each environment, when Dr. Jyotirmoy Goswami said political leadership, in each case, the leadership required different qualities because the environment was required to achieve this results that leader had to achieve. So there are different kinds of leadership, and I think the greatest of the leaders is the one who balances these different roles and assumes the right leadership position to make each position effective and futuristic. Going back to Sharif's question, I am the leader of a company called Aeronero. We make water from air. I've been in this technology for 16 years, and we were too early, too premature. So as a leader, what I learned then is, my God, I'm too early with my ideas. It's now I have to have deep pockets and persistence and perseverance and resilience to wait till the time comes when someone says, I want your machine. It took 16 years, but we're here finally. And what we make are machines right from your home to your office to industry to government, where we take humidity from air, we condense it, we mineralize it, and give you drinking water at your fingertips on demand, where you need it, when you need it, and how you need it. That's what we do in the startup village, Sharif, and I think that's a fabulous idea. One of the things that I've now working on the prototype, and we showcase it a little bit to the press. We got some rave reviews, is not just producing water from air, but then treating this water so that there is a continuous green cycle. So there is no taking from the ground and there's no throwing it away. And this loop, of course, it's not an endless loop. It does last 5 6 times, but at least to that extent we've saved water. And this is something I would explore with you for Startup Village, either in UK or Japan, Sharif, for certain, because this is an idea that will only blossom in such an environment. So in terms of what we do and leadership, the reason I jumped into water and water from air is, as a leader, I realized I could continue building technology companies in California and selling them and making some money here, there, and buy another house, buy another car. And, there's no end to it. But I was 40 and I had done everything I had to do. And I said, instead of retiring, let me go do something for society. And I took that conscious decision as a leader to say, I may not make money. I may have to be patient. I have to wait. But what I do will leave a lasting impact on society when I'm no more here. Some two random people will say, she did some good to this world. And that's how I moved into water and I built Aeronero. So for me, leadership is also about having those values and the value system ingrained in you. It's not just about me and mine, but for them and theirs. And we have to transcend between personal safety and protection, which we all have to do for our families, no question asked. But there is a limit after which you're only adding on the additionals, which are unnecessary. You got to say, what I have is enough, now let me do for others. And that requires a certain leadership, of quality of leadership, that that teaches you how to let go. If you hang on to be more and more and more, bigger and bigger and bigger, you will never achieve those, the altruistic goals of doing for the better good of mankind. So it requires a lot of courage to let go. It requires a lot of the ability to say, it's okay. Wherever the new landscape is, I'll deal with it. I'll figure it out. And I think those kind of leaders are very, very important for the future. I think COVID taught us that very, very clearly, that just because you have money doesn't mean you won't die. A lot of wealthy people I knew died. A lot of poor people I knew survived. So COVID taught us that leadership is about understanding that the future is a constantly changing environment and we have to change with it. But we also have a responsibility to the greater good, and we cannot only protect ourselves. We need to reach out to protect others in this journey. And I think that, to me, epitomizes the future of a futuristic leader.
Thank you, Madam Durgadas, for your excellent analysis. Mr. Rakesh.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure listening to all of you, and I would like to throw an idea out in terms of resources, because as Madam Das was saying, that she's talking about water resources, and we look at sustainability, which Mr. Arman had also talked about. One of the biggest drains on our resources is the nation state, because the nation state involves the maintenance of borders, armies, all of which consume a huge amount of resources. And I think if we were to, as a species, look beyond the nation state, and I know it's early, it's well ahead of its time, we would save so much of resources for you know from being used, sort of created with no purpose other than holding on to a territory. When as a species, we need to be looking at how can we use our resources to benefit or to even survive, and to move not just from this planet. Perhaps we may have to move to another part of the universe. Perhaps that might uh, come in the gamut of considerations that futuristic leadership may have to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Radha.
Do you hear me? Okay. It's a very interesting topic. Uh, when we consider, we have been talking about the companies, the big corporate MNCs, and I mean, the employment is in terms of about half a million people, 100,000 people. When we say of leadership,
Sir,
more or
can you
less,
speak
and
a little louder? We can't hear you.
yeah. You hear me now?
Yes.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Mr. Das?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
Thing is, when we have a big corporate, that's what we are looking at. As far as the political leadership is concerned, it's better we don't talk about it or anybody. It's not the concern at this point of time. When we are looking at the corporate, we are looking at the banking, we are looking at the industry, we are looking at the leadership that are going to drive the fourth revolution, industrial revolution. And this is a very important aspect of what I have been working on, is in terms of the leadership is not in the there is a flaw, that is the companies have got a flaw in the organization structure. That is number one. The flaw is we are built in terms of having a one man call center, hierarchical one man call center. Everybody goes to the top guy, and there is a vice president, and each vice president fights with each other. When there is ex post facto, and we do the variance analysis, they get governed by the departments, whether marketing or sales or that sort of thing. Each person, when there is a variance analysis, they push the problem area or the blame area to another guy, and nobody accepts. With results, each person, a company like TCS, has got about half a million people working for it. When you have that sort of a number, you have a problem area of making the blame game more than resolving the issue involved. As Infosys has got the problem area being created, and that does not happen. So the goal post for a half a million people, or each one is different. There is no goal congruence. Goal congruence cannot come to anybody because there's not a single goal which is applicable for each and every person, which is possible when we change our method from the hierarchical one-man call center to the foot soldier. In the organization, if you look at Robert Townsend's, he says in a combat, the commander eats last. We are in a combat. We are fighting with the economy to make it the best. And you can't have the CEO and vice president having a lunch and the first soldiers not having it. So that is the mindset which has to be changed. The foot soldier is the most important person. In my analysis, which I put about one task being governed by, undertaken by 5 different people, one foot soldier has got a supervisor. The supervisor has got another manager, one manager, one manager. So when we go to the analysis in terms of the 5 foot soldiers in the lowest level, and each one above the person is the facilitator. They all is like a going to a surgeon's surgery. The surgeon takes is calls for this knife or that. This thing. He is in the operation table. He cannot be look at the things of doing anything other than what he is doing. All the other people are providing him with the facility to do the operation in the right manner. This is exactly the one which I would like to see in a company. The foot soldier is the one who is creating everything. He is a workman. He is a salesman. He is the one who is developing everything. And what the vice president does, it makes no difference if the foot soldier is not being taken care. So it is very important in the leadership. The leadership lies with the facilitator. When you go to the various other areas like banking, the different problem arises. But yet again, we are in a position to make use of the, when you say the flat organization, the one CEO with about 15, 20 vice presidents, they join together, they design, This same thing happens in a national level. We discussed last time as a capital output ratio. They decide what is to be the growth rate, etc. But if you develop the GNP and GNH right from the bottom level, from the food soldier level, you have the association of 500,000 people, energy people coming within a company. If you are going to do only with the 15 vice presidents and send an email to each and every one of these guys, this is what I want you to do. By 15th of September, I want the, tax, this thing is being completed. It's not completed. We are somewhere in October. Infosys had been given the time factor of 15th of September. This is because the energy level of various people within a company of 500,000 are not being made use of. You got to make use of the energy force. That is my work, which we will discuss later. But this is what the leadership is in terms of being a facilitator to the foot soldier. Then you are in a combat. You are in area where you have fight with another guy, maybe the competition, maybe the border area. It's a foot soldier who is the most important person. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Mamun.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharif. I think that those are the experts. They already mentioned many things. So I should say something from academic perspective, academic leaders, as I'm from the academics. I'm thinking of what the earlier speaker they mentioned, Durga Das and others they mentioned. You see, uh, we are not thinking too much about the political leader. We forget this, but just come to the like very narrow scale, like corporate leaders, industry leaders, academic leaders. Our target, our goals, our perspective for the developing the country. You see, our first thing we have to need the characteristics of the leader, like visionary leadership. Those can give the projection after 20 years. What do you say, the futuristic leadership? But unfortunately, I think there is some lackings. And if you ask me the corporate leaders, I don't want to talk too much about this. Academic leader. So those who lead the academics, I would say that we have some reluctance about this kind of leadership targeting, visionary leadership. All the time, those are leading our society. They're thinking about themselves, which is not the main quality of the leaders. And secondly, what I said that we have to think from the ethical driven leadership style. So it should be the very vital issue that when the leaders they are the ethical, that the remaining all other organ, all other bodies, they should be ethical because it is the something like that. But when you see our leader, they are not ethical, then the whole organ, whole bodies, they are not. They could maintain these ethical issues. And we have to need the what is empathetic point of view. Empathy is very important for the leaders, but unfortunately, we always notice there's some difference when you think about the empathetic point of view. We could not think anything from the empathetic point of view. We always think about that. Every human they have some strength and human. As a human, there's strength and weakness, right? But we always talk about the weakness rather than strength. And it's my one of my observation is that if our academic leaders or whatever the corporate leader, if their main projection belongs to the strength of the all human resource, that is the way of the how they can add the values for the motivation for the betterment of the society. And I remind you one thing is that we have to think about this issue, the integrated. Organization depends on the leader, no doubt, but we cannot ignore that the other bodies, right? Other human resource. So how we can make the integrated, ethical, driven, visionary, self-motivated leadership style. And that should be our projection as a leader, particularly the academic leaders. I'm talking to academic leaders because as I'm involved in the university. But when I noticed that as I'm involved with the different industries as a consultant, what I noticed that corporate leaders, even sometimes their personality is like that. They love to show themselves. My question is that is it their target? Because if they target the sustainable something, if they target the futuristic leadership, if they target for the betterment of the society, So they have to think about that how they can add the values to the society by promoting the leadership. They have to think of the sustainability. They have to think the environment. They have to think about the development, how the society will get the benefit from them. But unfortunately, I believe that I noticed that what I said that we are a little bit reluctant in this area, particularly the development country. And I believe that this kind of weakness is not kind of opportunity in near future when the new leaders have come up. They have to think about this kind of ideology, and particularly this kind of platform is creating some awareness to think how they can add the values by the leadership, visionary leadership, and how they can add the values to ethical issues, something like that. And we are looking forward to that kind of society, so that will be a sustainable, ethical driven society for the betterment of others. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you, Professor Mamun. We have our political leader right now, uh, uh, Sama Appa, and she's one of the great leader in Britain. She's also a counselor, and beside that, both of Madam Sama and me from debating community, and I'm very much happy actually from developing nations. Many people they leave their country, they shift in different countries, and they are start their journey as a leader. So Madam Sama is one of the excellent example of developing nations. And I know Madam Durga Das also contributing a lot in Silicon Valleys, and we have other leaders here. So Madam Sama, I want to hear from you. Uh, what do you want to analyze about this futuristic leadership for developing nations? And if you share few of your experience with our audience, maybe it will be great learning for Asia Pacific people.
Um, Thank you very much, Sharif, for this opportunity, and apologies to the panel for coming in late. I had another commitment that I had to attend. I was listening to Professor Habib just as I entered, and a lot of it that has been said is actually truly is what is driving the nations worldwide. It's not only an issue of the developing nations per se, but I think these qualities are something that every leader must have in every aspect. So I think that is the point, that we are talking about a futuristic leadership that should be universal. So coming from that common notion of one world, we may have different nations. Like Sharif, you've mentioned that I've come from a very developing state aspect background. I've been studied in Bangladesh. I've been born and brought up there, and coming here, living in a different, completely different environment. It was easy and not easy at the same time. Why? Because I brought in a global narrative. Because when you come in as a Commonwealth citizen, or when you come in as someone who has seen a different dimension of leadership, of growing up, infrastructure, development, and again settling in for a completely different structural system. For example, we have always seen throughout our life that the developed nations were contributing through aid in developing nations. We have seen how their leadership has been a global leadership format through different social values or entrepreneurship development. And coming from the recipient end and becoming that part of the system, I think I brought in that idea of the recipient end. For example, as an aid receiver, how the developing countries feel, what's the psyche of the developing states as a recipient of aid receivers. Because often we would see in our policy development or policy making, aid is something that is considered both as a blessing and a curse. Because that is something, I think, that the notion of change, the aid to empower, not to make someone dependent throughout their lives, is also very, very important. So that leadership aspect of changing view, of treating with equality, that is, I think, the notion of a futurist leadership. Now, I am actually talking about both the nations because I have lived and been a policymaker in both the areas. Here we serve communities. from different parts of the world. So in London, it's a metropolitan, it's truly a reflection of the world where people from all across the world come and make it a home. And they have very strong views, very strong opinions when they come in. Now, how we accommodate that diversity and make it all inclusive is very, very important. That is what we practice and preach in our leadership style. I represent a council. As councillors, we practice a hybrid system, which means that we have committees and we have cabinet model. In committees, we hold the cabinet members and others accountable, the officers accountable of their work. We scrutinize them at local level, just as you see in our countries, like in developing nations, it's the parliamentary committees which will call MPs and other officials and ask for why that is. We do that at the local level as well. I think accountability, transparency is also very, very important when we are talking about moving forward. One of the things that I think you asked about was lessons learned and what we can take away. I would say this November, you all know that we are going to have that COP conference. And one of the things that we all are talking about is the impact of global warming, the climate change. Right now, as we speak, there has been protesters glued themselves on the roads, or they have put shackles over them and they have blocked the motorways, protesting about the changes that what needs to be done. They are protesting because the leaders have not been active enough. I would say this is a step towards the futuristic world where we have a platform when all nations come together and we discuss on a level playing field. So leadership developing intersectionally, I think that should be the core idea of what we preach right now. So I'm going to stop here because I think that there might be more questions and more people who would wish to discuss. Again, apologies for joining late, but any questions, any feedback, I'm happy to chip in. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Saima. I just want to share that World Talent Economy Forum in this Dubai Expo, with the collaboration of Malaysian government climate change divisions, we are organizing one of the largest public-private partnership dialogue. It's become so popular, like how we discussing through like World Talent Economy Forums. It becomes so popular in Asia Pacific, and we will arrange this show with Malaysian Prime Minister office in Dubai Expo. So our major initiative, actually public private partnership, and speakers from 100 different countries, uh, uh, they will join in these sessions. All of the government, largest corporations, beside that academia, they will join in these discussions. And we are collaborating with Malaysian climate change divisions. And beside that, in COP26 in November, World Talent Economy Forum, we will also arrange another dialogues. This is based on the climate change project. So we are not arranging this kind of open dialogue. We are more in action. We are developing startup village concept. We are developing these public-private collaborations, and we are developing $60 billion blueprint for Malaysia. So hope all of your collaborations and partnership can help us to grow together. And that is our objective. We are more in economy. We are talent economy. We need more talents, and the talents can contribute through World Talent Economy Forum. And we ensure different Nobel Prize winner, even speakers from White House and different government bodies and different Ivy League universities and the corporate body, investment corporation, they are joining and they are supporting World Talent Economy Forum. So we need more of your support. We need all of our speakers support, because we are facing a lot of challenges right now, but we need to take more action. And World Talent Economy Forum in action. So any of your good idea, any of your good solutions, any of your policy making advice is highly appreciable, because we are moving forward. We are moving forward, and we need more of your support. So thank you, Madam Saima, for your excellent analysis. Hopefully in the future you will add more interesting analysis for us. Mr. Saleh, you are also from academy, and you are also from Bangladesh. So how you want to add some interesting point, because many interesting point come from corporations, from scientific worlds, from academy, even from politics. What's your new view? I want to see some views from uh, like young entrepreneurial attitudes and young entrepreneurial initiative from you, and how they should think, and what your observation.
Okay, so thank you so much. So, in terms of young entrepreneurial attitude, yes, that I discussed in before. That like I expressed my thought about what my parents and my grandparents shared with me, that they faced autocratic leadership when they used to work. So right now, the young generation, they rather prefer collaborative leadership approach in their workplace. They actually take our opinion from their team members, and they actually, instead of focusing on more like tall organizations or the top down approach of the organizational structure, they may mainly focus on the vertical structure. That means the less number of layers in the organization. So, and also the intensive communication is there, because CEO would like to listen what actually an entry level employee think about the workplace environment. It actually ensures the better congenial work environment, and it also ensures the better performance on the organization as a whole. Take the case example of my organization that I am now working here. So our vice president of the board of trustee, he's a very young person. He's not he's around 40 years of age. So he is running uh, like electric business in Bangladesh, and he is investing in the private university sector of Bangladesh. So actually, and he is running the university in a new model. So and he actually investing a lot in some research and development projects, like many of our private universities that has been established for a long time ago. Uh, they seldom don- will and donate some funds in terms of research and development. But but since the inception of the university, he is building such research funds, which is actually a very good example of how a young generation create impactful change in the educational sector of Bangladesh. Yes, we have some limitations. We have to face lots of drawbacks due to the external environment, because we can't change the external environment in a day. But yes, there is some hope of the young generations who are now running the organizations, who are now in the leadership position of the different corporates and different universities and other associations. They are they are trying to change the leadership practice that is already in practice in Bangladesh. So hopefully we expect a positive change in our leadership practice. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity,
Thank you.
and I would like to thank all of our guests, because all of them are very experienced and knowledgeable person, and I have learned many things from all of you. So thank you.
Thank you. I want to share more good news with our audience, because every day many scientific society, they are joining with World Talent Program. This is another important organizations. We call it International Longevity Society. I don't know, you can see it. Anyway, International Longevity Society. The Longevity Society, actually, all of the scientists, those who working with these longevity industries, and there are all of the famous scientists, even from University of Oxford, University of Cambridge, MIT, and Stanford's. All of the famous scientists from around the world, they are supporting World Talent Economy Forum, and we are advocate for modern science, engineering, and technology, and already they declared uh, our membership with International Longevity Alliance. So I request everyone, we are uh, engaging with many scientific communities and many scientific organizations, and I know that we need a lot of solutions. So hopefully we need to work together, and we have to find out the better strategy for the developing nations. Mr. Joytir Moy, you are from a grassroots level. You are doing excellent work with millions of people. So how you want to share your views, because there are different views come from politicians, from business person. Mr. Joytir Moy, can you hear me? I'm sorry. In that situation, I want to give chance to Madam Durgadas for her concluding remarks.
Thank you, Sharif. Um, First of all, I wanted to tell Madam Ahmed, Salima Ahmed, that Saima Ahmed, that it's incredible how you managed to see both sides of an equation and bring the best of the same leadership qualities to both situations. Commend you on that. I think that's wonderful, and I definitely thought what you said it's resonated very well with what I was thinking. So truly appreciate your remarks. Um, uh, uh, Mr. Raja Iyer, I want to read your book because I think there's a lot to learn. There's so much you said that went over my head because I'm a very simple entrepreneur with simple ideas, not very educated. But I felt, and I went and looked up, what you've written, and I said I must read a little bit more about what he's talking about because this comes from solid science, solid fact. It is not just emotion. And to our academics, Professor Habib and Arman, definitely I have to apologize. I am not an academic, but I am a constantly evolving student. I learn every day, and I hope by the nature of that process, I can call myself a lifelong student and a lifelong academic. But thank you for your views, and Rakesh, of course. You're, I guess, settled in New Zealand, and your views and this math+science.com is something that's very interesting. I have to go look up on this a little bit more. The best of what Sharif does is not just about today's program on leadership. I mean, he talks about poverty, he talks about water, he talks about technology, he talks about AI, he talks about he has some 356 topics for 356 days, 65 days, right? So and every one of them, and the times that I've visited, I have met, such intellectuals like yourselves with different points of view and different thinking, which obviously invigorates my thought process. And I think the best of leadership is that a person or that platform that enables this, right? For us to constantly think, what more can I learn today, and how can I make this? How can I take that learning to to the community around me, whatever those stakeholders are, whether it's my family, my colleagues, my friends, whoever it might be that surrounds me. And so, for that, Sharif, I think you're one of the best leaders I have met for enabling such a platform. So, since the topic is about leadership, I think I must commend you on it. It's very important to have that ability to and the humility um, to bring people together to try to learn from each other and then say, how can I then take this forward? And so I think that is the future of leadership. The ability to connect with humility is what was going to take us as a one people into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Durgadas. You are always always inspiration for us, and you are also board of advisor for World Talent Economy Forum. Many people actually discussing about technology, about investment. We just discuss about people. So when we discuss about people, we have to engage with many people, many topics, and many interesting things. And I'm very happy. I just want to share that many developing nations and those who run the country like Malaysia or Australia or Singapore, all of the prime minister office, they're just thinking that World Talent Economy Forum will be helpful for them for the national development. I just want to share another good news. This is actually one of the great publishers. It's actually come from Germany, but we work with Senator Anning from Australia. Perhaps he is one of the popular senators from Australia, and he published his book on his lifestyle and everything. Then we are collaborating with this Scriptum organizations, and this is our dialogue already promoting around the world, and and we will publish more book. So the scientific society or the scientist, or it's actually really scientific book. Those who interested to work with World Talent Economy Forum, you can publish your book with our publishers, and perhaps this is another popular publishers for scientific society. So hopefully it will be helpful for our members. And uh, now I request Mr. Rakesh, what's your concluding remarks for today? Can you unmute, please? Mr. Rakesh, can you unmute?
It's been such a pleasure in listening to all of you here. It's worth getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning here in New Zealand to get this kind of intellectual input and to be able to have the honor of speaking here. I cannot thank you enough, Sharif, for providing this forum, and thank you all for participating and sharing your views so brilliantly on this show.
Thank you. Madam Sama, what's your concluding remarks for today?
First of all, apologies, I haven't heard all the speakers. Would have been wonderful to hear all your feedback and remarks on this very important topic of the future of our leadership and where we are headed. And I would like to thank the World Talent Economic Forum. I think you're doing wonderful work, bringing in people together and creating this dialogue. And I think this is the first step of opening up opportunities in different ways. You may be inspiring someone at the very remotest areas of the world. You don't even know that they might not have heard of such things. So this is really truly an opening up the global opportunity for everyone. Secondly, I think this is a very vast area, leadership development, and how different areas are practicing leadership. And for this, you really need more opportunities for such topics to come forward and look at how intersectionally one can complement the other. That is very, very important. And finally, I would like to also mention about the notion of equality, since there are other ways of looking at it. One of the main areas is the equal development of male and female participation, and also the non-binary population to be equally take the ownership and be the stakeholders in this way, and also creating equal followers. Because if everyone's a leader, who's going to be the follower? So I think we also need to focus on empowering the followers as well, so that one day they can take up the baton and pass it on generation to generation. But thank you very much. I had a wonderful time.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Mamun.
Thank you so much. First of all, you know that when I see our Salia Arman, when I see our Saima Ahmed, this kind of young leaders, that then when that time we can understand that what would be our future. We can see the reflection of the future from them. I'm so happy to hear the voice from the Saima. And Dr. Sharif is definitely the young leader, and another dimension of the like he's thinking about the like futuristic leadership techniques. And what the Saima Madam mentioned that leadership is the one kind of continuous process of improvement, and it is based on the practice, and it will take time to come up with mature level. And you know that when we discuss with our students that we are looking forward to get the more entrepreneur, more good leader for future betterment of the society. So what is our ultimate target? Contribute to the society. How we can add the values? That is a very important to think by ourselves. And I always mention one thing: we are the privileged group that we have education, we have the knowledge. So why not we have to think that at least our leadership style to be the betterment of the society, how we can add more values to society. We have to think of all stakeholders. We should not think about only ourselves. We should think about the like how we can do something best for the particularly the distressed people, those who could get the service, those who could get the development. So it's our responsibility how we can add more values there. And definitely, if you think that like futuristic leadership, one of the ultimate goals should be like that, technology driven. How we can apply the technology driven our society. How we can think about the like ethical driven society. Those who add more values to they have to understand the values of others as well. And whatever the developing or developed country, whatever the middle income country, low income country, does not matter. The matter is that we have to maintain that humanitarian point of view, what we are doing for the other people. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharif.
Thank you, Mr. Raja. What's your concluding remarks, Mr. Raja?
Yeah, I'll just unmute. Yeah. Thank you. Someone said about, women force and as well as men force in employment. And I'd like to tell her about return on intangible. We have been knowing, and I'm a chartered accountant, we have been using the return on investment, object oriented. Whereas what the theory which I have brought here for application is return on intangible. That is, a numerator is action or inaction, and a denominator is intangible. Intangible is the power force, that is the energy force. Now, in that intangible is common for everybody, whether it's a potter or nuclear scientist, whether it's a lady or a gent, the force is the same. So when we are going to make the analysis in terms of what is the return on intangible, is a binary value of action or inaction, which action is 1, inaction is 0, and the denominator is 1, is a common for everybody. It's the same thing which Professor Mormon had mentioned about the value system, about the ethical responsibility. And the ethical responsibility will be in the position to find out with the same equation. In enormous ways, in terms of whether you have about 10 people in a company or 100,000 people in a company. The return on intangible is about how the energy force is being utilized for the purpose of corporate advancement, both in terms of sustainability, efficiency, which we have a lot of things like various factors, corporate governance and risk management. That is in terms of sustainability of profits. It assures, like, if you do that various management aspects, you are able to get sure of the profits. But the sustainability of value system alone will bring you the sustainability of profits and growth. There must be a continuity for which there must be a lot of energy being put forth and is being measured. What gets measured gets managed. There's an important aspect of the return on intangible. This is my submission. Today I spent about an hour looking at the interview of Bill Gates. There is a sustainability week is going on, run by economists, and the first speaker was Bill Gates, and the topic is about the climate exchange, climate change, and the carbon emission problem that is area. It's a huge area, amazingly huge, which we discussed on 22nd with Sharif. It's a huge area. I'd like you to have a look at it. It's possible to get that. Is another 4 days. Is a sustainability week. Is that? And this is the area we have to. We go by the object, return on investment. We can never win. If you go by the return on time, utilization of the people, we will definitely win. That is my concluding point. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arman, what's your concluding remarks?
Okay, so thank you. Yes, it's a nice topic, and actually, I'd love to talk about leadership approach in terms of futuristic aspects. So, one thing I would like to say in my concluding remarks is that in the perspective of developing nation, we should consider leadership should not be driven out on the basis of the position, because because right now in what I've seen in the developing countries is that leadership is about the person, but leadership is not about person. Leadership is about, sometimes leadership is about position, because the head of the department or like the CEO, it's only the position. It is nothing about the person. So leadership practice should be should be based on the position itself, and the leadership should not be focused only on the person, because maybe person maybe manipulate anything, but it should be given out on the basis of a particular position, and the position should be impersonate, and then this position should not be like any sort of perpetual thing, and it is a revolving thing. It should not create that okay, I am holding holding the chief position of a particular association. I can do anything, but that's what I would like to say, that the leadership
Mhm.
should not based on the person. It should be based on the position. So actually,
Thank you.
I'm saying in terms of the developing country perspective. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Jyotirmoy, what's your concluding remarks?
Very good discussion was going on, and I was enjoying it. Sorry for such disconnection. Anyway, my as a conclusion, I can tell uh, we were talking about the evolution of ideas, conglomeration of ideas, and side by side exploration of co-working, of the possibility of co-working. In doing, the 8% involved here can start doing something from the bottom and see its universe, its possibility, vast horizon, what can happen, what can transpire, be connected organically. Only the 8% can start doing, involving at one, not one place, but at one mission. Then I see there can be one sort of huge outcome would be there. We have good ideas. We don't have that instrument how we can get connected to co-work. How we can start co-work. That is my we can do that. That
Mr. Jyotirmoy, we cannot hear you clearly. Mr. Jyotirmoy.
this
Mr.
is what problem.
Jyotirmoy.
Are you hearing now? Are you hearing
Yes,
now?
now okay. Yes, yes. Please
Okay,
concluding
okay.
remarks, please, just in one
Yes,
sentence.
yes.
Yes.
So, if we can co-work with our good ideas, which is very much a part of the whole, not disconnected with anyone. We are a part of the whole. So if we can co-work, that would bring a great result for us. That is my concluding remark. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you everyone for joining today's sessions, and we're just finishing our 384 episode, and hopefully in the future we will arrange more episode like this. Thank you, bye bye, and take care. Bye bye.